when Hardik Pandya rolled his ankle and knee and went into a position that only yoga instructors made of rubber usually try, it looked bad. That he went on to attempt to bowl made it feel like it was more of a short-term than long-term injury. Rohit Sharma didn't seem too worried at the press conference afterwards. But no one should be sleeping on just how important Hardik Pandya is to India's chances in this World Cup. There are more famous players, faster bowlers and better batters. But is there anyone more crucial to India's chances of winning this World Cup? And today made me think, is Hardik Pandya the most important player for India's World Cup hopes?
This video is brought to you by Wicket Cricket Manager.
Every day this World Cup, we will be going live at the end of the day's play with our show, The Scoreboard, over on our Jarrod Kimber podcast channel. I look at what happened on the field and also answer questions from the comments. Think about how the Indian team might feel about his replacement right now. Unless you are all in on Shardul Thakur, chances are you don't think he can replace Hardik Pandya. I mean, to start with, one can bat as high as number 5 in a normal batting order, and the other is at number 8. The sheer number of runs only tells part of the story. And that is, of course, a little bit unfair to the Lord, because he is a bowling all-rounder. But since the last World Cup, Hardik's bowling, infrequent as it may be, has been a different class. He is certainly the best sixth bowler in cricket, and you could make an argument if he bowled even more, he'd be up there with Marco Jansen and Ravi Jadeja as the best fifth bowler as well. Shardul is a bowler who has skills, but his lack of elite accuracy, pace and height means he almost has to hustle players out, especially once the ball gets old. That shows up in the figures of all the World Cup bowlers since the last edition. He is the most expensive in ODIs. His average suggests he's taking good wickets, but he is certainly not keeping any pressure on while doing that. Hardik goes at 0.7 runs and over less in that time. It's a massive difference, but it's also about where they're good at bowling. Shardul is actually very good in the middle overs. The same economy for both of them, but Shardul actually averages slightly better. The problem isn't in the middle. It's the fact that Hardik is being used at the power play and also the death. That is where Shardul doesn't work at all. This is average, and you can see that he does not take wickets at the top at all, and the same happens at the end of the innings. A Hardik replacement would probably need to do both of those things, but at least be good at one of them. And this is the strike rate. It is just really clear that at the death, Shardul gets absolutely smashed. He's going at 1.5 runs a ball in the last 10 overs of ODIs. India are not going to feel confident with that in the knockout matches. The power play is also an issue, and he is the most expensive bowler since the last World Cup in that period, and also has the second worst average. He does not replace Hardik at all in those roles. But I noticed something else here. The other bowler really struggling in the power play has been Mohammad Shami, and that's important, right? Because India will probably not be able to use one player to replace Hardik, because in truth, you can't. And even if Shami comes in, his bowling at the end of the power play is weirdly horrible. So there might even be some regression there, although he's certainly a better bowler all the way through the innings than Hardik is. But he can't bat, so that leaves you with R. Ashwin. And when you think about it, it's completely mad that Shardul Thakur managed to keep out Mohammad Shami and R. Ashwin from India's team. And I call this the Evan Gus syndrome. He was a professional cricketer in Victoria who could bowl a little bit, bat a little bit, and fielded a little bit. But he didn't do any of those things well enough for him to be a specialist with bat or ball. His last T20 match was a semi-final in the Big Bash, where he wasn't needed with the ball and was listed to come in at number 8 with the bat. So the Melbourne Stars won this semi-final, and they decided that for the big game, they didn't need Evan Gus. And as the analyst for that game, I disagree. For me, he was an insurance player. And when he was in the team, they batted faster up the top. For the final, they kept their renegades to 145 runs, and then they had to chase them. And their openers, Marcus Stoinis and Ben Dunk, went far slower than they usually would. And this is where the Gus syndrome comes in. Without him, when Marcus Stoinis and Ben Dunk looked at their batting lineup, Adam Zampa was batting at number 8. And when top orders look up and see that, they don't feel like they can fully attack. No one thought Gus would score a lot or bowl out his overs. That wasn't even the point. And Shardul Thakur is the Evan Gus of India. His job was to make the batting look and feel deep enough that Gill and Rohit can attack at the top, while giving a little bit of sixth over bowling. No one expected him to bowl his 10 or make a lot of runs, because he can't do that. And so because of that, he can't replace Hardik. But as I said before, no one can. The best ODI all-rounders in the world right now are not actually filling out this role in the World Cup. Ben Stokes has no knees, Jason Holder is back at home, Andre Russell is a combination of those two people, even Shakib Al Hasan is out injured. If Hardik Pandya can't bowl for a little while, then the only top-level functioning all-rounder out there is Ravi Jadeja. And this is the crazy thing, that India has two of the best all-rounders in the world at the same time. Not even England's collection of Sam Curran, Liam Livingstone, Chris Wokes and Moeen Ali compares to that. Certainly, Mitch Santner and Rachin Ravindra do not, and Marco Janssen still has a few years in him. The combination of Hardik and Ravi allows for the most flexible team in this World Cup. They've got seam, they've got spin, they've got batting depth, they can bat a lot deeper if they want to, they can even bat more shallow and have more specialist bowlers. There's so many options for them. If Hardik Pandya doesn't play, they lose their endless flexibility. I mean, if you want to replace him, the only way to do it is with two players. Either Sky or Isham would have to help with the batting, and with the ball that would be Mohammad Shami or R. Ashwin. And if you make two changes, that means that Shardul comes out for a bowler and Hardik comes out for a batter. And so, even with another great all-rounder in their team, Hardik is so important that replacing him means you get a shorter batting lineup and less bowling options. Do you know how rare that is? Kohli, Rohit, Bumrah, Kuldeep are some of the best players in the world right now. But there are people who could do their jobs. Maybe not as well, but they could do them. You simply cannot replace Hardik Pandya. Not even with all the Evan Guses and Shardul Thakurs in the world. India are so good, they could probably handle a major injury and still win this tournament. But even within that, there is no doubt that Hardik Pandya is the most important player for India's World Cup hopes. But even within that, if it was Hardik Pandya, it would be hard to argue that he is not the most important player for India's World Cup hopes just because he is simply irreplaceable.